He woke up that morning and pretended everything was normal. He kissed his wife. He ruffled his son's hair. He packed a lunchbox he wouldn't need. Then he walked out the front door like a man who had somewhere to be. But Mark Bennett had nowhere to go, because 3 months earlier, Mark had been fired from his job. And no one, not his wife, not his children, not his neighbors, knew. Every day since then, he had been living a lie, driving around aimlessly, sitting in parking lots, pretending to be productive, and each night, coming home with a fake story about meetings, deals, and co-workers who didn't exist. But the truth was, Mark was drowning in silence. And by the time anyone noticed, it was far too late. The Bennett family lived in Maple Ridge, Colorado, a quiet suburb, a family-friendly neighborhood, the kind where you leave your front door unlocked and wave at your neighbors as you mow the lawn. Mark and Allison had been married for 14 years. They had 3 children, Tyler, Olivia, and Liam. Tyler was 12, a quiet kid. He loved computers, science fiction, and had just started middle school. Olivia was 9. She loved drawing, dancing, and begged for a kitten every Christmas. Liam was 6, still learning to tie his shoes, still asking for bedtime stories, still believing the world was full of magic. Mark worked in corporate sales, or at least he used to. His wife, Allison, was a 3rd-grade teacher. She loved her family fiercely, and to anyone who knew her, she was the kind of woman who smiled with her whole heart. But behind that happy household was a man cracking under pressure. When Mark lost his job in November, he told no one. He was too ashamed, too afraid of looking weak. He thought he'd find a new job quickly. He thought it would just be a few weeks. But weeks turned into months, and rejections turned into hopelessness. He applied for jobs every day. No callbacks, no interviews, just silence. He started drinking. He started gambling online. He maxed out 4 credit cards trying to keep up with bills. He lied to Allison. He lied to himself. And slowly, quietly, Mark began to believe the unthinkable, that if he couldn't provide for his family, he shouldn't be part of it. On February 17th, 2023, everything seemed normal. Allison made dinner, spaghetti and garlic bread. The kids laughed. They talked about a school trip. They asked if they could have a movie night. Mark didn't say much. He just nodded and smiled. Allison posted a photo to Facebook. It showed the family gathered around the table. Her caption read, "Family dinner nights are my favorite yellow art." It was the last thing she ever posted. That night, Mark waited until everyone was asleep. Around midnight, he went into the garage. He opened a locked case beneath a workbench. Inside was a 9mm handgun. He had bought it years ago, just in case. He loaded the weapon slowly, deliberately, then walked back into the house. He stood in the hallway for a long time, listening, breathing, deciding. At 1:13 a.m., he walked into the master bedroom. Allison was asleep, peaceful. She never even opened her eyes. Mark shot her once in the chest. She died instantly. Then he went to Tyler's room. Tyler sat up, startled. He reached for his glasses. He didn't make a sound before Mark pulled the trigger. Next was Olivia. She was curled up with her unicorn blanket. Mark shot her once. She never woke up. Finally, Liam, the youngest, still sleeping with a dinosaur toy clutched in his hands. Mark hesitated. For a moment, he stood frozen. Then he raised a gun and fired. The house was silent again. 4 lives. Gone. At 3:47 a.m., Mark dialed 911. He didn't say anything. He just breathed heavily into the phone. Then he walked to the basement, sat on the floor, and placed the gun to his temple. He pulled the trigger, but the bullet only grazed him. He survived. At 4:12 a.m., police arrived to perform a welfare check. No one answered the door. Officers entered to the unlocked back entrance. They found the bodies one by one. A child's drawing on the fridge. Pasta dishes still on the counter. A home that had once been full of life, now eerily still. They found Mark in the basement, covered in blood, the gun beside him. He didn't fight. He didn't speak. He just stared at the ceiling. At the hospital, Detectives asked why. Why his wife? Why his kids? Why all of them? Mark replied, they didn't deserve to live like this. I couldn't take care of them anymore. I didn't want them to suffer. Police uncovered everything. The job loss, the debt, the empty bank accounts, the lies. He had applied to over 80 jobs. He had received 0 offers. He had told Allison nothing. His internet history revealed searches like, how to kill painlessly, will kids suffer without a dad, family annihilation cases. Mark was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. He showed no emotion in court. His defense claimed mental illness. They said it was a psychotic break. But the jury didn't believe it. They believed he planned it. They believed he could have asked for help. But instead, he picked up a gun. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The verdict took 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge called it an act of control disguised as despair. Mark Bennett was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. The Maple Ridge community was devastated. Tyler's school held a candlelight vigil. Olivia's dance team performed in her honor. Liam's class made paper dinosaurs and taped them to the school gate. Allison's sister read a victim impact statement in court. She said, you didn't fail them by losing your job. You failed them by choosing silence. And then you failed them again by choosing murder. This wasn't just a crime. It was pride, shame, and silence turned deadly. Mark Bennett was supposed to protect his family. Instead, he destroyed them. If you or someone you know is struggling, ask for help. Tell someone. Talk to someone. Because silence doesn't just destroy one life. It can destroy every life around you. Thank you for watching Behind the Crime. If this story moved you, subscribe and share. And tell us in the comments, do you believe this was a moment of madness or a decision made in cold blood? Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and never ignore the signs.